welcome back into the podcast booth at Interconnect. So Leighton and I are here to do hopefully a quick rundown of the 2026 State of the Industry survey that we do in partnership with Know-How. Know-How has been a phenomenal partner in the survey for 4 years now.
I'd say
we've grown up.
It's been a healthy marriage.
It has been a healthy marriage. Yep. And we've come a long way. So this is kind of the evolution of realizing we needed to make some adjustments, which I think is really exciting. That's something that our teams have been able to do, is look at and take feedback from the industry and from our teams and see how can we make this better year over year.
Absolutely.
And so one of the big things that you're going to see in 2026, the survey is going to come out at the end of April, is you're going to get a full year view of the industry, instead of our old segmented way where you would maybe get like July to April, and it was a weird view of the industry. So now we want to give you that full year view. So the study is open right now. So Leighton, I'm kind of curious your take on that shift to show the full year, and then kind of what you're most excited about for this year.
So when a person is thinking about how do we consider where our position stands across the whole industry, across all our competitors, across all of our peers, the question is, let's think about our business in correspondence to how everyone did last year in terms of how they're spending money, where they struggled, how they're thinking about labor, how they're paying, what they're paying for wages, where they're beginning to invest from a technology standpoint, and we want a whole year picture. So specifically what we're looking at is 2025 as a complete picture from January to December.
Yep.
And so there's a lot that I'm interested in. I think you would agree. You know, you go to industry events, contractors are widely familiar with the report, and they'll approach and they'll say, "Oh, could you ask this? I've always wanted to know this," or you know, a question that keeps coming up from this conversation, or a client, or a banker, or whatever. And I've never been able to find a good, trustworthy resource outside of this survey.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I find increasingly like M&A and capital, and you know, they'll say, you know, we read the report. You know, you have carriers will say, hey, you know, be kind to us this year, and you know, and so I think it's become a staple in the industry. I think companies look forward to it. I think it's something where a lot of organizations use it to calibrate, you know, where are we in terms of the broader pack in this industry. What's new this year? It's a lot new.
There is a lot new.
I would say, no question, because we've done this for so many successive years and we maintain some of the base questions, we have the ability to graph where the industry is moving across major things like wages, where are things moving in terms of revenue mix, commercial restoration mix, where restorers planning to resource and pull back on spending. But new, I'm excited for a new area where we're actually doing what I think is a very classy way of doing it, is this whole area called recommendation. So recommendation is, you know, we used to ask, who do you use for this, or who do you use for that? And some individuals would say, well, this is who I use, but I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend them. And so it'll be interesting to see how the industry responds to this, because the questions we're asking is, who would you recommend to a peer?
Yes.
And the questions cover everything from who you're using as a job management system, who you're using for your estimating, who would you recommend as a TPA and a carrier, and a host of other questions covering consulting, to covering even conferences.
Yes.
You know, this is an industry with a lot of conferences. Restorers, they like to break bread, they like to get together, and I think one of the questions that people often ask is, if you were to choose one conference to recommend to another contractor, someone who, you know, you're on friendly terms with, which event would you recommend? So there's content like that, and then there's this M&A section, which I think is going to be exciting.
I'm very excited about the M&A section. I think that, you know, that's been such a place that the industry has changed and evolved so much, and it's been both good and bad. There have been good and bad sides of it, and that's part of what we're actually gauging in kind of the best way that we can, in the most objective way possible, trying to get a read on how many times have you been approached, and then if you have been bought, how's it going? If you haven't been bought, but your peers in your market have been bought, how's it going? Just kind of getting an overall gauge of how it's going. One of the things that I love about this report is, you know, the RIA's cost of doing business report, which you partner with RIA on that, is really morphing into a great study as well. And so we saw the need, as we were creating this one, to make sure that we're differentiating between the two.
Big time.
We don't want you to have to go in and put the same data into two industry surveys twice. Our industry's not that big, right? So we want you to have great data in the cost of doing business, and then great data in SODI, state of the industry. We affectionately call it SODI for short. And they kind of marry together, right? They give you like this overarching big picture of the industry with big data sets and bringing the best data we can. So,
what do they have in common? What they have in common is they're completely anonymous and they're secure. I think that one of the questions that people ask is they say, you know, I will participate if I know this is secure. So both surveys, hyper secure. This survey, state of the industry, is completely distinct. Trends, patterns. I mean, one of the things that I love is what's the number one fear in the industry right now? You know, this year we're also going to get into, you know, we're going to go deeper into AI, but more specifically, we're going to start asking questions around, you know, more broadly, like how are you practically using AI to drive business results this year? And there was so many areas that I had to kind of dig into it. So we're going into all the wage trends, right? And so, you know, where are you recruiting from? What are you paying? Are wages rising? Are wages dipping? How are you thinking about variable compensation? So this SODI industry report is that report where I think if I was to compare a team that reads it versus a team that doesn't read it, one team, this team, it has such an outsized advantage because you have such an ability to, in a sense, raise the periscope, have a sense of what the market is doing, where are the big waves coming up behind me, where are the perils that are coming in from either side, so that we can actually have a straight shot and make sure that ultimately we don't miss any opportunities. That's this report. This report is, I would say that I think it has become the largest, most robust report in the whole industry.
Yes, I agree. I love coming to events like this, and we hear people all the time like, oh, I love your report, I'm looking forward to it. I had somebody sitting next to me today, when is it coming out? When is the new one coming out? It is hands down what I use the most, and everyone uses it. But like you talked about at the beginning, it's not just restorers that lean into this. There's a lot of people in our ecosystem that rely on the report. So stateofrestoration.com is where you can go take it. It is open through the end of February, but have some urgency and do it now. It doesn't take that long. I wouldn't say it even takes, it's probably 5 to 10 minutes tops. I don't think it's that long. Nothing in there is that difficult to answer, I don't think. So please participate. The more people we have involved, the better. Leighton, talk about our release, what our plans are.
So I would say if you haven't circled the last part of April to go to the Restoration Industry Association convention, it's in Savannah. I'm excited about Savannah.
I am too.
I can tell you who else is excited about Savannah. My wife is excited about Savannah. And so she is like, I'm going to Savannah. And so Savannah, Georgia, to coordinate, ensuring that everybody has that content in their inboxes before that conference. This report will get published just before the RIA convention. And so it's going to be able to drive tons of conversation at that primary industry event. And so if you haven't signed up to take the survey, it's free, it's anonymous, stateofrestoration.com. And then when is it going to come out? You know, before your boots hit those Savannah, before you dig into that first, you know, is it a Georgia peach? No, Savannah's, Savannah. You could have a peach in Savannah.
Yeah, it's not far from Georgia. So sure, peaches, we don't know. Before you go see the Savannah bananas.
Before you see the Savannah bananas, you will have this report.
There you go. All right. Well, Leighton, thank you as always for the partnership on the report.
Yes.
We appreciate your team very much and looking forward to what comes out this year.
Absolutely.